And now the only request was made by anybody in the class was Pluto. We need to talk about Pluto. Whatever happened to Pluto? I figure, oddly enough, that this may be the last class that remembers Pluto as a planet, because it's been a while since Pluto's been a planet. But that's another discussion for another day. First of all, I explain where Pluto came from. A guy named Bose, who was interested in planetary modeling. And what he discovered was that if you looked at Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, for which we had, and Jupiter, you had really good numbers for at the time, he was certain that you would discover something very interesting. You would discover that these were the distances of these objects. And in fact, at the time, it would have been 0.4, 0.7, 1.0, and 1.5. Now, his contention was, oh, 5.2, sorry, it would know Jupiter. His contention was, there's a pattern here. I see a pattern. So he started playing with the math, and this is what he came up with. He said, if you take all the squares, start at 0, 1, 2, 0, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is, what am I doing here? 0, 1, 2, oh, you're doubling. Sorry, this is doubling. So start with 0, you put in a 1 doubles 2, 2 doubles 4, 4 doubles 6, 8, 8 doubles 16, 32, so on and so forth. Then you multiply them by 0.3, you get these numbers here. And then if you add 0.4, you get this numbers here. And he noted that this is the distance of Mercury. This is the distance of Venus. This is the distance of Earth. This is darn close to the distance of Mars, and this is rock solid on Jupiter. He said, that can't be a coincidence. Can't be. Well, there were some things missing. First of all, he had a missing planet here. And Saturn wasn't really well measured. So he thought, aha, I'm going to get that measurement and do it well. So as time wore on, two things started filling his graph. One, we started to get Saturn, and we got Saturn was 9.5. He was undaunted. That's darn close. I'm not going to argue. Okay, we're pretty good there. And then Uranus was discovered using the telescopes, using this as guidance, and basically just looking for things. They knowing there might be more planets out there. Came with 19 solid, which means plus or minus 1, and so this fit within that boundary. So where was 2.8? He started working on that, and he did not get that done. But later on, some scientists discovered that basically describes the asteroid belt where we think a planet broke apart. So this is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. So where do you look for the next one? So they start looking out further. Where they're going to look? They're going to look at 39, right? So 39 is really good. I'll put 39 over here because something rude happened to these numbers. At 30, unfortunately, you discover Neptune. Neptune tells us that this pattern doesn't seem to work very well. That did not keep people from looking for where was mysterious planet 39. And they eventually discovered it. It was Pluto. Now, remember, they were looking specifically at one place for Pluto. Okay? And that's where they found it. And so you'd think, aha, it's a planet. It goes around the sun. It is it's kind of a large rock. It's not quite Mercury size, but it's big enough to say it's not a moon or anything. It's not an asteroid. It's bigger than that. And so the question came up, what to do with Pluto. Here's Pluto right here. Its orbit is on a magnitude of 1,000 years. Okay. Oh, I don't have a. Trying to get. I can't make that bigger anymore. I can just move it up and down. Well, that's rude. Hold on, let me pause it, see if I can get that moved. Lord knows what this just did to your computer or cell phone, but whatever. Here is that beautiful planet. This is Pluto. Okay, this is a 3-year-old, 4-year-old picture. 4-year-old picture. It's got to be a 4-year-old picture. I know. So this is a 4-year-old picture, or right about now. It's either a 3 or 4-year-old picture. I take it back. In any event, this is Pluto taken from a probe that we sent that took 9 years to get there. It's called New Horizons. It's our fastest man-made probe we have ever made. And we cooked it out there just to take some pretty pictures of Pluto and some other things that might be nearby Pluto. More on that in a moment. Pluto is a fairly boring planet. Nothing really interesting about it. It does have a sizable moon right next to it. And that's part of the problem is the moon's almost as big as the planet. In fact, we've switched for brief periods of time which one was the moon, which one was the planet. They're basically binary and going around each other. Large features, not quite the impact history of the ones that are closer in to the sun. Also, it's got ice on it. It has atmosphere for brief periods of time because this thing has an elliptical orbit. One of the problems with calling this thing a planet is it's actually a very elliptical orbit. All the planets are pretty much running in circles except for if you want to put Pluto in the bargain. Pluto goes way far out, way far in. In fact, it crosses Neptune's orbit and gets right into Uranus's orbit right before it goes all the way out. That's a hint for something we're going to talk about later. Now, so here's Pluto. So why kill it? Why make it not a planet? All right. This was what the final nail in Pluto's coffin. Now, I'll admit, before this, a lot of people were already talking. Pluto behind Pluto's back. Pluto was going to go down soon. But this is a mysterious planet that a couple physicists discovered in 2004. Four youngins, graduate students, looking through telescopes, discovered it. Beings at the time, one of the more popular shows was a show called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They decided to name this little puppy Buffy the Pluto Slayer. Now, how did they know this thing was going to slay Pluto right off the bat? The answer is they thought it was bigger than Pluto. Turns out, in hindsight, it wasn't, but it was darn close to bigger than Pluto. And it was a symptom of a problem that was growing around the Pluto thing. This thing has an elliptical orbit. It would have an atmosphere if it got close enough to the sun to have it. Okay? And it's very similar size to Pluto. And so it is close to a twinsy. And so when you start to say, well, so one other, make it a planet, make Buffy a planet. By the way, they killed Buffy's name because they have no sense of humor. But let me square this up. They got rid of it because, you know, you can't name something Buffy the Pluto Slayer. That's just wrong. So here's Pluto, and here's Chiron, its moon. Again, very far out. They're so far out there you couldn't tell where the sun is. And that, likewise, we had trouble telling which one was the planet, which was the moon a couple times. Which actually changed their names back and forth. Chiron was called Pluto for a while, and Pluto was called Chiron for a while. But anyway, here's Eris. Here's Mamaki. Here's Hauimei. This is Orcus. Zolgar. Now, here's the problem. Why is Pluto a planet and these are not? Because it's got an atmosphere. Some of these get atmospheres when they get close enough to the sun. Oh, because it's got a moon. A lot of these have moons. Because we found it first is what it boils down to. And so the answer to the question, by the way, here, see this corner? It's something cute. Here's the moon. So when you say, why is Pluto a planet? Keep in mind the moon is darn close. And so we are staring at the catastrophe for Pluto because we now think there are hundreds of these planets, these what we're going to now call dwarf planets or transit-Newtonian objects out there. There are hundreds of them. And, you know, imagine a poor school kid. All right, here we go. You got to name all the planets. We got Mercury, we got Venus, we got Earth, we got Mars, we got Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and Pluto, and Eris, and Mamaki, and Hermione, and Sedna, and 2007 OR10, which I haven't bothered to name yet, and Quar, and Orcus, and Buffy, which we're not going to call Buffy, it's XR 2004, and so on for another 200 names. So Buffy killed Pluto. Pluto is unable to be a planet unless we name all of these planets. And the bottom line is it is a nomenclature thing, it's a name thing. Why would you say, well, why can't we just name all? You could. But the idea is these are different, they're farther out, they have elliptical orbits, they are not like our planets in a couple other fundamental ways, and they're all pretty darn small. So we're willing to move on from them and say that they're going to be dwarf planets. And again, that's what killed Pluto. Like it or not, that's what did them in. And again, you can write your congressman and say, please make Pluto back a planet, and I will add the 240 with it, because that is what you have to do. And that'd be kind of cool, because there'd be a lot of new planets that we'd all have to name and know, and it'd be kind of fun. All right. Bye.